You will get ahead of 99% of businesses if you watch this video. You just need to understand these 5 core pillars that took me 4,000 hours to unlock. I've been building AI systems since 2022. I've coached hundreds of entrepreneurs through AI transformation since 2023 in one of the first AI community in the world, the AAA Accelerator by Liam Otley. In this video, first, I cover what the most forward-thinking AI influencers are preaching and missing out on. You probably are too. Then I'm breaking down all 5 pillars so that you can unlock your next AI level and get results more, better, faster. This is going to open a new world of opportunity, productivity, and growth like it did for me. It's not fancy. It's not complicated. It's not just theory. We implement this daily in my community, CCGG, with massive and hardcore use of AI without technical skill. Let's dive in. So first, some context. A CCGG member sent me a video about Thiago Forte breaking down how business adopt AI. That's this video here, Build a Business That Runs Itself. Interesting video, by the way. The framework is solid. That's why I want to cover it very quickly. Here, I will give you the key ideas. But even if the framework is solid, I think that there might be a simpler and more elegant path forward, and that's why I want to cover as well. But first, let's explore the framework. So stage 1 is heroic effort. That means you are the business, you wear all the hats, and every decision flows through you. It's the typical solopreneur or early founder's life. And so you grow with a sailing at 3 to 10 employees. So small companies, but hey, communication complexity kills you, and the fact that you do everything is very, very harsh. You have no time, basically. And so here, the AI can help with clarifying a role, externalizing your brain, and reducing doc burden. Stage 2 is delegated decision business. In this evolution, you have an organization chart that exists. You can delegate decision to different function owners. So the company is more structured. There are some leadership team that start appearing with finance, acquisition, fulfillment, etc. And here, AI's role is more as a fractional CMO, CFO, ops strategist, and that's here to prepare strategic material. So I see this as AI being the assistant of the leaders of the team, and also employees, of course, but that's the key role here. It helps you do strategy in better manner. That's what we used to do with custom GPTs like 1 year ago, when we were using custom GPTs as AI assistant for this purpose. Exactly. Stage 3 is process-driven machine, which means now not only the organization is more structured, but also the processes are more structured. Which means here we rely more and more on systems, processes that are well documented and enforced, tech stack that tracks everything or in a better manner, at least. So now you have metrics, you can really measure what you do. There are more standard, auditability increase, predictability increase. So it's not just about the talented people who do the grind. It's now you have some tools to measure and pilot. Right? And so here the AI's role is to help you sustain these systems, documenting processes fast, helping with automated and integrated workflows, but also helping you with execution. Once again, it's typically what we used to do when we were working with teams of custom GPTs. And that's still a valid approach, especially because it's simple. And for most processes and businesses that don't have any complex processes, that's fine. That's totally fine. Stage 4 is AI augmented powerhouse. What does that mean? Now it's humans plus AI in every workflow, which means every human's employees have AI assistant with them, their own custom GPTs, if you like. And so AI helps humans, employees, to do the daily grind, the daily job. AI can handle documents, research, personalization, prediction. This is already what some people do with ChatGPT, of course, what you can do at a superior level with custom GPTs, for instance, or with some automated workflows, even if I'm not a big fan of automated workflows because, hey, they are brittle, complex to do, complex to build, complex to maintain. Anyways, you're using AI as leverage to get more outputs, basically. And so here the AI's role can be sales management, call scoring, automated follow-ups, CRM actions. Basically here, it's more about integrating AI inside your workflows. You can already have that here in process-driven machine. When you have processes, you can have AI plan on them. Okay, anyways, they do 2 stages, 2 different stages. It's more a question of degree than a question of nature here. Anyways, and finally, stage 5, the growl, it's AI automated business, which means entire departments run with AI agents. Marketing, onboarding, follow-up. If you think about it, what I show you in Cloud Code OS, it's a bit what we do. I have my department with AI agents doing the job, and they are supervised by me. So humans' involvement here is exception and strategy only, and also daily supervision, I would say. And I find this very interesting. AI's role is self-optimizes systems. I will cover that later, but this is very interesting notion here. Ultra lean model, 1 or 3 person per companies, to scale, right? So that's the idea that as a solopreneur or a very small team, you can do the job that a middle-sized company would do. And for every business that are massively digital, that's totally achievable. And for classical businesses, it's the 1 to 3% to run the company is most likely not possible. But this is a goal you can lean toward, reducing the number of people necessary to run the business effectively. Or if you keep the same team, because here the goal is not to fire people, but if you keep the same team, you can do more. And so more growth and more benefit for every people in the team. That's the positive way of seeing it. The framework is interesting, but it's a bit theoretical. Now, when you want to apply it in a concrete manner, how does that look like? So here is what the current approach typically looks like. First, multiple tool stack. So these are classical tools, Alter, Fathom, Salesforce, Slack, etc. Classical tools plug together. So this is workflow automation here, right? To glue it together. But you still have a multiple tool stack, which is a pain to manage and quite expensive, by the way. That works, of course, and that's something you can do right away. But hey, it's not lean, and you have constant maintenance, and you pay for the tools, for multiple tools. You can see it's complex, brittle, expensive. Second pattern is master prompt. You have big prompts with business context, and you copy paste that between system, or you put that in nodes in workflow automation. That it requires lots of manual prompt engineering for each use case and on a daily use basis, and also use of template that you need to update and so on. In my opinion, that's the old-fashioned way of using AI. It's old-fashioned because first, it's really static. It's difficult to maintain and make them evolve and improve them over time. You can do it, but it's really tedious. There are still lots of copy pasting, and come on, the future of interaction with AI is not typing, it's speaking. And so when you speak, you don't prompt, or you don't craft master prompt. You don't do prompt engineering. So I think it's a bit old-fashioned. It's the current situation for most people, but it's a bit old-fashioned. This is not the way I work with AI any longer. I mostly speak to my AI. Pattern number 3 is workflow automation. Since we have multiple tools, it's really rely on having Zapier, Make.com, N8N, all these no-code automation or code automation tools to connect the different platforms, code to multiple API and so on. You need to glue code to make everything talk together. That's the current way of doing things. And even if you're using Cloud Code the way I use, you still have API and so on integration. The difference is it's not external software like N8N that you have to understand and to work with. It's natural language speaking to Cloud Code so that Cloud Code like bridge, connect with the tool. I've seen from my experience that when you use Cloud Code OS, the way I use it, you need less tools. You simplify the tool stack, and the connection with the tools is handled with natural language by Cloud Code, either through API or through MCPs. Pattern number 3, create technical depth and fragility. Pattern number 4 is specialized systems. What does that mean? It means you have one system for the customer data, a CRM, one system for processing the transcripts, the meeting tools, one system to document knowledge, one tool to plan and to do strategy. So you have ClickUp, you have Salesforce, you have a bunch of separated tools that you try to make discuss together through API calls and workflow automation, which is super rigid, which means there is not really collective intelligence and natural, fast communication between the different dimensions of the business. It's still siloed. Every tool is specialized in something, but there is not an integrated layer that knows about everything and can leverage that in an integrated manner. Not sure if it's clear, but yeah, I hope it is. Like the ideal situation is you have one brain that has natural access to all these specialties and that is able to redistribute them and leverage this information like in an integrated manner. Because now you have very big leverage. You can naturally use strategic information for instance, in the CRM to craft message. You can pull information from the CRM to refine the strategic or the next tactical move. And this is integrating. So which means it's not rigid no-code workflows that pull data in a very rigid manner to store it in a very specific database that may not be adequate for the work we need to do. When you use Cloud Code as the brain, the connections are more flexible. So now let me show you the different path forward and the 5 core pillars. The 5 stages of AI business evolution framework is something that's really coherent with the lean GPT business model, the way I see how to maximize AI leverage in business, right? Here, the idea also is to decrease the level of complexity. That's what we explore in Cloud Code OS. And so there are 5 pillars, in my opinion, that really make different paths forward actually different. First one is de-silo. What does that mean? It means you have one integrated operating system, not several disconnected tools. And inside this integrated operating system, you have the business OS, content OS, AI growth engine, which is the strategic layer, the GPT Express, which is I call it the HR department that create AI agents for specific purpose. And that's one integrated system. Now, this one integrated system can be connected to external tool to pull data or push data, of course, but we try to avoid that if possible. For instance, my current CRM is handled inside Cloud Code, not in an external tool. I built an external tool one or 2 years ago in Airtable and so on with some AI automation. It was better than the previous CRM I was using, but hey, let's face it was really rigid and I had to maintain it. It was not the best way. And at the end of the day, I wasn't using it as much as I should have. Now I have this inside my Cloud Code system. And of course, I have data architecture, I have some processes, but it's inside Cloud Code, integrating in one system that has access to other dimensions of the business. For instance, the content creation or the strategic layer or the daily habits layer. And so that means all data flows through Cloud Code, and Cloud Code can tap into data that are available in other departments. And that's super interesting because of course you can stimulate that and say, hey, Cloud Code, go look for the information there. But I've found out that Cloud Code can automatically, in an autonomous manner, pull some data you wouldn't even think about that are available and super useful for a given use case or given work you're currently doing. And so that's quite interesting because now AI has some level of autonomy to exploit the data of your business that are there in the integrated system without triggering it. And that's going one step forward toward actually real intelligence at the business operation level. The other cool stuff is that I don't have to switch between platforms. I don't have, for instance, if I'm doing some customer work and I want to update the CRM, I don't have to open the CRM. No, I can just tell, hey, Cloud Code information about customer ABC, and it does the stuff just using natural language. And so it's improved the circulation of information. And once again, what is really interesting is the fact that AI now can proactively exploit data you wouldn't think about, but that these are data available here. And so you have some sort of AI autonomy in exploiting data. Of course, it's always good to check what AI is doing, but it's exciting. So the common approach, multiple specialized tools coordinated manually. The alternative path is unified operating system, simpler and more integrated. That's typically what we do with Cloud Code OS. Pillar number 2, integrated system. I'm not a big fan of complex N8N workflows and stuff like this. Why? Because it's expensive to build, expensive to use, and expensive to maintain. It's a level of complexity that is higher, and so I prefer lean and simple systems, right? The feature inside Cloud Code helps us doing this. Why? Because we have skills which can be reusable capabilities that can be called by voice, giving context to Cloud Code. Cloud Code can auto-invoke them. Same for sub-agents, which are specialized AI agents for specific tasks with their specialties and also their own context windows, and they can be auto-invoked by Cloud Code once again. And we have MCPs, which facilitate connection with external tools. And of course, we can use scripts also to just communicate with external API. And all this is inside Cloud Code. Don't necessitate, this automation workflow with blocks and spaghetti diagrams. You don't need that. It's integrated inside Cloud Code. And I find it very, very exciting because it helps you automate workflows and make information circulate in a very faster manner and very simpler manner. The common approach is workflow automation, gluing tools all together, but it's really rigid. Where here we have an alternative path, which is having a native system that has autonomy because it has access to capabilities like skills, MCPs, agents. And here you don't need to glue anything with code or no code workflows. So it's way more fluid. And here you can really leverage intelligence to exploit the different capabilities like SOPs with skills, sub-agents, specialized sub-agents, eventually external tools through MCPs or API calls. As an example, the common workflow would be, hey, you have author that records stuff, then it sends something to ChatGPT or to a ChatGPT node, and then you have the output that need to be pushed to Salesforce, and then push that in Slackbot, and that would be a 6-step automation with your AI workflow and so on to manage. Here you can just say, hey, Cloud, process this meeting and update everything. And it knows it has skills or MCPs and it knows what to do. It's just natural language. You can use several different queries or put some nuances or add some stuff. So you can see how more flexible it is. Now, let's be clear. It doesn't come natively in Cloud Code. You need to have the proper systems inside Cloud Code. And so we could argue that it's a bit like having this workflow automation, the classical workflow automation. Yes and no. Yes, there is some system you need to implement inside Cloud Code. But the difference here is that you do everything with natural language. Cloud Code takes care of let's say the coding and formatting layer. And also it's more flexible because it's not workflow with blocks. It's just AI, LLM, using different tools that are there and calling them the way you want. And if you think about it, it's a bit what this AI workflow automation builders are trying to do. When they use an agent node inside their workflow, they try to equip agents with tools, but it's techy. In Cloud Code, you can do it with just natural language. So that's why it's such a superior way. Pillar number 3 is self-evolutive. This one is a big one. In Cloud Code and Cloud Code OS, you have a system that learns and improves with every use. Why? Because you're working with an LLM and you can give it feedback and it can adjust the processes, it can adjust the way you work inside of it according to the feedback you give. And so you have these feedback loops that are way more effective, way faster, and also way easier to implement. You can also leverage the Cloud Code OS since it's an integrated system. It has access to everything that you do, all the projects and so on. And you can have analysis. You can ask it to analyze what happens during the last week, for instance, which means you can use it and leverage AI to do pattern recognition. Why? Because it's all integrated and it's super powerful in terms of analyzing what's happening and processing huge amount of data. And so that's really a way to, if you do the tracking properly inside the Cloud Code OS, it's really a way to identify pattern, what we do not that great, what we do well, and how can we double down on what we do well. And so here, really, we have a system that compounds intelligence. And you can see, if you see the difference between using static mega prompts in ChatGPT, Claude, and so on, or even mega prompts that you package in the AI automated workflow, you can see how rigid and limited it is. Whereas here, we have a system that has access to all the data. We speak to it, we work with voice with it, and according to what we do, what we feel, the friction we face on a daily basis, we can just tell him, hey, the way we do this is problematic for XYZ, or I don't like to do XYZ. How could we make it better? Which means if conceptually, the execution layer, which is you working with Cloud Code, and the building layer, which is developing tools or setting up tools, they are fusion, which means they can communicate way faster. And so that's why you can have feedback loops, you can have intelligence compounding effect, and you can have pattern recognition and improvement, like improvement loop can be implemented way faster just with voice, basically. So that's crazy. That's mind-blowing. Anyways, common approach is static prompts requiring manual updates or static workflows that are painful. When you're doing AI workflow automation, when you want to handle more flexibility, you need to complexify the workflow. It's not the case here with the alternative path. Alternative path is a self-learning system, and you can implement self-learning loops, by the way. Don't want to enter in that, it's a rabbit hole, but anyways. And so yeah, typical example, I'm working with workflow, I'd like an additional feature or to modify workflow, I use natural language and Cloud Code does it, okay? Once again, I want to nuance. It's not as straightforward as this. You need to check what Cloud Code proposes as a solution and then validate that. So you need to think, you need to use your brain. But hey, it's just your intelligence and your voice, okay? It's not, I need a JSON here and then I need whatever code snippet to put here, and oh, I didn't put the right parameter in the box, so that's why the N8N is not working. Like this bullshit. Hey, come on, that's so old. Pillar number 4, maximum compression, compressing time, cost, and information circulation. This is really what we do with the alternative approach. With Cloud Code OS, typically the daily roadmap is done daily, because it takes 5 minutes. Packaging content, creating content with the content department inside Cloud Code, the sub-agents team doing content for me, takes 10 minutes per package, and then I just review and adjust. Strategic planning, it's automated, it's a routine, and it's done every 7 days, aggregating data from the past 7 days, readjusting the strategic planning. In terms of cost compression, that's a no-brainer. Now you need far less tools than before. I've reduced my tech stack. I was paying $1,600 per month for my tools, and now I'm paying $600. I've killed most of my workflow automation. Maybe I have still 1 or 2 Zapier working, but that's it. So you don't need this sophisticated AI workflow automation. And if I need to do some custom development, I ask Cloud Code to do it. And most of the time, since my use cases are quite simple, that's a good thing. Other cost reduction I made is I don't need VAs. AI is my VAs now. Information compression, that's the big one. Because now I mainly work with voice and giving files or screenshots. I'm not prompting. You communicate information in a more effective manner. The fact that Cloud Code can process images is a big one. The multimodality is really what pushes us towards sharing information in the most effective manner with AI tools. And so it's not perfect with Cloud Code because Cloud Code is mostly text and images, but maybe in the future we'll have videos. Maybe in the future voice will be integrated in Cloud Code. I don't know. For the moment, I use another app for voice, but that's working fine, but that's still an additional tool, to be honest. The information compression lies also in the context that persists across all operations. Why? Because Cloud Code, being a fully integrated business OS, has access to all the department, all the tools, and can pull data from that and process it in a centralized manner to then leverage this information that in another system would be dispersed and siloed. Here, it's not the case any longer. We have removed the silos thanks to this system, Cloud Code OS. I have literally 0 manual data entry. That's not 100% accurate. I still enter some data manually, but it's way easier because I do it by voice and by screenshot. And the cool stuff is that some data, I don't need to re-enter them because they are already available in some other teams, and I can just ask Cloud Code to pull them. Once again, information compression. That's crazy. So common approach is multiple subscription, integration platforms, dev costs, and so on. Now the alternative path is mostly my single subscription with Cloud Code. Depending on your usage, it's between 20 and 200 a month. My time, because hey, I work with it. I'm still a CEO of the AI agent teams, and I have few other small subscription for small tools, but most of my previous tool, I just killed them. Pillar number 5 is lean by design. That's the goal of the lean GPT business, leveraging AI like mad so that you have simple business that you can execute solo or with a very small team. The goal in the lean GPT business is to reduce complexity at every layer. And here I want to remind the 4L principle, which is something that I learned from a guy called Tugan. So thanks to him. 4L principle is low cost, low tech, low complexity, low human. And so I always have this in mind when I'm running my business and trying to improve it for higher level of simplicity. And so the common approach is technical complexity, requiring specialized knowledge. Why? Because we're using many tools, AI automation workflows. That's lots of things happening. Complex system. Why? Because they are rigid, using the old approach, which is automation, AI automation, old school prompting and all that stuff. When you want to address the reality, which is kind of multiple, let's say, and which require flexibility, you just stack up complexity. The alternative path, since you're relying on natural language and the capacity of Cloud Code and this reality of an integrated system, with this alternative path, you can manage the complexity of the reality that necessitates flexibility with simpler approach. That's the way I explain it. A good example for that is common workflow would be building a multi-step Zapier flow, connecting Zoom, Otter, ChatGPT, Salesforce, Slack. So that requires technical setup. Now you can just say, hey, Claude, handle this recording. Before doing this, because that suppose that the system is there, you can just say, hey, I want to use this, Claude, please create the bridge, the workflow for me. And you review and it's doing it. It will ask you to give the API keys and that's it. You're good to go. It's way simpler. And in terms of management, you can just use natural language. And you know what? If you think about it, N8N has released like a few weeks ago an interface that allows you to use natural language to build these blocks, these AI workflows. Here, we are doing the same by design with way more flexibility. Why? Because it's not concealed into N8N workflows you're currently working on. It can leverage any other information from the business because, once again, Cloud Code OS is an integrated system. That leads us to the new paradigm, which is own your stack. That's a strategic advantage, in my opinion. Here is the critical difference most people miss. The current model is tools shaping your business. What does that mean? Salesforce forced you into their workflows, their way of seeing what a sales process is. HubSpot, the same. CRM limitations become business constraints. And so you need to adapt to the tools. And I take here the example of a CRM, but that's true for pretty much any business solution you're using. It's the same for your ERP, for instance. The tools put constraints that may not match the reality of your business, but you have to fit in and find a workaround to basically use the tool and get some value from the tool. So that's the old way of thinking. The new way of thinking is, this is what I try to do with the Lean GPT business, also reducing the level of complexity. What I try to achieve is a business that shapes the tool, not the opposite. What does that mean? I mean, in Cloud Code OS, we have the flexibility and the customizability, the possibility to customize that allows us to shape the tool to our business. So you can create skills that match your specific SOPs. You can have sub-agents. You can have whatever combination of sub-agents to do the workflow you have in mind and to make the workflow evolve if you need. You can have external tools. You can still tap into external tools. You can pull the data from that and then package and format the data the way you want to feed maybe other workflow inside your integrated system, your Cloud Code OS. And so there is huge benefits here. Why? Because it gives you more flexibility. You can adapt your operating systems to the evolution of your business in a way simple manner. You have no vendor lock-in because you own your system. Here you may argue, yeah, you're locked in with Cloud Code. That's true for the moment. But remember, I got the same objection with custom GPT. People were saying to me, hey, you're kind of locked in with ChatGPT with custom GPTs. And I say, no. But the very same custom GPT in ChatGPT, I have them on Claude, I have them on Gemini, I have them on Grok. And so here, this system that I'm using, you need to think about it as workflows, processes with agents, skills, and so on. And for the moment, it's in Cloud Code, but this very same structure can be transferred to some other systems. For instance, in Codex or in Gemini, CLI. I use Cloud Code because it's the most advanced system in this logic, but you can be sure that OpenAI, Gemini, Google, they are working on doing exactly the same. Codex is really similar to Cloud Code. Cloud Code is better, in my opinion, with skills and so on, it's better. But Codex is similar, so I can transfer to Codex. Gemini CLI is similar as well. And if you think about it, skills, sub-agents, the way they work, these are markdown files with headers. Most of them, which means, once again, nothing is specific to Cloud Code. An agent is still a system prompt in a markdown file with a YAML header. So it can be used by any system. Let's be fair, for the moment, I'm all in Cloud Code with Cloud Code OS because that's the most versatile tools I've found. And my experience is that the component of the system we build in Cloud Code OS are actually fundamentals and can be transferred to any other platform, the same way that custom GPTs could be transferred to Gemini James or Cloud projects. The other strategic benefit is custom fit. Of course, you have exactly the system that reflects your business and that makes operating your business more effective. And it's future-proof. Why? Because you can make it evolve, you can add new capabilities when you need them. It's not external tool that push on you capabilities, or it's not that external tool that push on you a specific way of doing this, like a specific way of running your sales process. It's you can decide the way you want to work the most effective manner based on what you do and what you need on a daily basis. We are very early in CCGG. Most businesses for sure are stuck at stage 1, maybe 2. Remember, stage 1 is heroic effort business, like you wear all the hats, nothing happens in the business without you. And stage 2 is delegated decision business, which means you have teammates and you can delegate a bit, but that's far from being optimized. So most businesses are stuck in stage 1 and 2. Influencers teaching stage 3 and 4 are using bloated tool stacks, mega prompts, brittle workflow automation, and siloed system. That's the reality. What we try to do in CCGG members, and once again, it's not perfect, but that's what I use daily. We try and we actively work with systems that de-siloed everything. One operating systems, not 15 tools, are integrated using SOPs, subagents, MCPs, plus data across all the departments available here with AI that is able to pull them automatically, smartly, I would say, and use them for a given workflow and task. It's self-evolutive. You speak to your AI to explain that, hey, we are doing this way. I don't like this, or I need this, or I need that. I prefer to have this step before. So it's self-evolutive. And you can also ask Cloud Code about, hey, what did we do last week? How could we have done better? For this process, we do it this way. What do you think about it? What could be a more effective way of doing it? You can ask because it knows, it has the data, your data. Maximum compression, once again, because we reduce time, cost, and we speed up info circulation. It's lean by design. Everything that we do in CCGG, everything that we do in Cloud Code OS as well, is driven by the 4L frameworks that eliminates complexity: low human, low cost, low tech, no complexity. And you own your stack because these are not the tools which shape your business. It's your business that shape the tool.